Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this little lesson. Today I'm going to be painting these beautiful pink Gerber daisies, and you can see I've got the reference photo up there in the corner for you, but I just want to show you that I do paint from my own flowers that I buy, and I really think that's more inspiring than, anything else. So I go in and I find something that really inspires me, and then it inspires me to do a lesson for you so that you can learn how to paint it. And it saves me lots of time scrolling on Pinterest. So I just walk in, pick what I get, and then I go. And so I've got out all my colors. I put a little dab of this quick dry medium out on my palette, and I'll put a link in the description for that. Today I'm going to be using my palette knives and water mixable oil to paint the Gerber Daisy and the vase. So so I'm also going to be showing you how these three different colors make pink. So I've got this Lucas brand, which is a really great brand, but for some reason it's so inexpensive that it seems like it would be a bad brand, but it's actually really good. This one, I've got this Pyro Red and Permanent Rose. Permanent Rose is a color I use in Windsor's regular oil that I loved, and I'll never go back to regular oil because I am so glad I don't have to have those chemicals around me and breathe in all that terp and all the rest, and that I can clean my palette now with a water or a baby wipe or something. It's too easy. So let me just get I also record a speed up of this for there. I just had to hit you wouldn't believe how many times I haven't hit the record button. So anyhow, I'm gonna just start off. Okay, so these colors, first of all, that I want to focus in on these are the three reds I showed you right there. And this is Madder Lake, and I'm using the Cobra brand Madder Lake for the dark parts of the daisy. Some sap green, and this is another unique color to the water mixable oil. It's Perylin Green Black. I'm probably saying it wrong, but and I've got out some raw sienna and some cad medium for just to lighten up the greens and all that. Okay, so I am gonna start off with a little bit of that quick dry medium, and what I like to do, because I don't use the paint thinners anymore, and it's really not a great idea, and I'll probably get flack for saying this, but it's really not a great idea to use water to move your water mixable oil around your canvas or your gesso board, because it starts to change the way it looks pretty quickly, and then it looks kind of almost makes it kind of chalky looking. Sorry, I have allergies. Okay, so now that we've got that down, I'm going to prime this canvas using, just looking for my wash brush here. So I'm going to use a little bit of, I've got out some also down here hiding, is some turquoise and ultramarine blue. So I like to just kind of do a gray. So I'll get a little ultramarine blue and some of this. I've got out some transparent red oxide as well. So I'll put a bit of that in the mix, just to create kind of a dull, kind of grayish tone. And you can use a little bit of you'll see now that you've got that little layer down, and I know it's a science, this whole water mixable oil thing. Sometimes I get nasty comments because I do it wrong, but you can leave me a comment below if you've ever tried this. I just love how just putting that base layer down really helps that paint glide on it. Another thing I want to say that I love about it is your paint dries faster. So if you're selling your art and you don't want to wait 2-3 weeks, this will go through all the paint layers and help dry the paint out. So I really love that too. And alongside of that, it dries shiny, which I know some people don't like, but I know most people varnish their paintings to look shiny, so you know, I love that it dries shiny. So I'm just gonna put the vase in. I'm just blocking in the base for that with a little bit of that turquoise. And I'm just kind of following my reference photo here, but I really want my paintings to be loose, so I shouldn't even worry too much what it looks like. And then I'm going to take my Viva paper towel and just sort of wipe away, just to get that, you can get that real glassy look when you wipe away with oil paint. So a lot of that you kind of will end up wanting to leave in the end, because that will be kind of the way you get that glassy effect. And then I'm going to just use my paper towel here, and I can sort of sketch out where the Gerber Daisy is going to go. And there's one up here. And I like that one's going off the edge there. Gerber daisies can be frustrating to paint because of all the little petals going round and round. It can drive people really crazy. So we'll see what I can do. They're sometimes hard to paint, but we'll figure it out. And I'm going to also just sort of put in a base layer for the Gerber daisies. I'll use a little bit of that Madder Lake in the center because that's kind of the darkest area. And I also got up here, you can't see, just instead of black I put out some indigo because I just thought that would be different. And just kind of spread it a little bit. And see what you get there. Just sort of go around and okay, so that's kind of going to be our base there for you know, where those when we get going with the palette knife, where they're gonna go. And I probably am gonna stop with that because and go switch to my palette knife now, because I don't want to get the painting too tight. I want it to be loose, and the only way I can keep that experimental palette knife going is to use it. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of the first one. The first color up here is the Lucas, so I'm gonna put that to remind me. And then this is the Pyro Red, and this is the Permanent Rose. This is also called Rose, I think. Yeah, just Rose. Oh, this is called Rose Madder. It's funny. My dog's name is Rose, so she's probably wondering why I keep saying her name. Alright, so we've got some, I'm going to mix up a few different ones so you can see the difference. So you get a 2-for-1 combo here. You get to paint roses and also kind of learn what color of rosy pink you have here. we got the Pyro Red, which is actually probably the more orangey red, orangey pink when you add white to it, which is like probably the closest to the actual flower. But I'm not too worried about that. I just wanted to compare the three. So this has a lot of a blue in it. You can see it's real bluey pink. And this one here is more on the cool side, and this one here is on the warmer side. So you just gotta go with, I'm gonna go with this kind of pinky reddy color here. And I'm trying to keep it simple, so I'm not gonna go with a bunch of different tones, but I always like to do, you could do one, you know, kind of cooler mix, so add a little tiny bit of this ultramarine blue and just make up a little bit of that. It's going to make more of a purpley tone, but you never know. Later it could be used, for example, in this one here that's kind of further away and you just don't want it to take over. Whenever you make something cooler, it kind of sends it backwards. So if you're doing cooler in landscapes, your cooler toned colors are going to be more in the background. And so you can either add white or add a little blue to gray down the color. So now there's a few different colors there. We can sort of start going at it here. So I want to make sure I get the right size for the center, so I can, just going to kind of use my palette knife and scratch away here at some of those. Okay, so I kind of see where I'm going with everything there. And I'm going to start off by just using a little burnt sienna in the center. I can always darken it later with some of that indigo, but I just want to kind of get a feel for where everything's going, and it will be way less, you know, disturbing to the other colors if it mixes in a little bit here and there. And I like to sort of see where the centers are, so then I can gauge kind of where the rest of everything's going. And this little palette knife I'm using is sort of this oval shape, and I might just try this one here, which has a kind of a round shape, just to get, I'm going to put these marks kind of around the center, so I'm just adding a little burnt sienna to that yellow, and I just want to put a little bit of that around the flower center there. And now I'm going to start building some of the petals. So I'm just using the edge of the palette knife. You could come at it different ways. You could even combine a few. And I'll add a little more of the red in there to darken it a bit. And these ones up front are longer, so you can bring some of them down. You just gotta have fun with it. That's the main thing. Not every painting works out, you know. Just kind of go put these ones up here. And as the year progresses, my year of kind of loosening up, I'm sure I'll make some progression, as well as you, if you keep following me, you'll make some progression. If you just keep, if you keep consistent, you know, at anything, you really do make progress. So far, I like these. I love how thick the paint goes on too when you use your palette knife. Trying to sort of go with the flow here. And I've taught lots of classes, and I've had Gerber daisies in the class. I always buy real flowers when I teach at the art school, and boy, they are one of the trickiest flowers. So I figure this is going to be more successful using a tool. I can't really, you know, I can't really overly work them with this, so I feel like I'll have a better chance. I'm going to take a little bit of that red, and I just want to mix up a little darker color, so I'm going to use some of that permanent rose and the red, and just sort of dab some of that around. Around the center there, where you see that little ring of darker color. And you can use it and, you know, get a few darker petals in there too. Well, so far so good. I feel like maybe in the end I won't. Maybe in the end I won't recognize them, but so far I like what I see. Okay. All right. Well, let's take a break from those and then work a bit more on the vase. So I don't know how I'll do the whole vase with this, but I'm gonna try. You never know. You never know until you try. So I'm just gonna get some of that around. And well, it really causes you to have to kind of simplify when you use a palette knife like this to paint. At least in my books it does, because you can't really mess around too much with it. And I'm put in a few stems before I get too carried away there. So I'll get some of that sap, and I'm just mixing a little bit of that raw sienna, and I'll use some of that white and turquoise, and put in some stems. And I'm just looking at the reference photo and kind of seeing where everything's going. And I'm going to get a little indigo and mix it into that turquoise and get a few of those kind of darker details in there. And I'll go back and put that flower back over the edge there. And there's some little bits of light trickling in. And so I'll go back and get the flower back on top of the vase. So I made one big mark on top, and I'll get some of this light pink mix now and add a few really good highlights here and there. Now I'm going to go and add some real dark indigo back into the centers. Just a little, deepen the inside there. And I'll get a little bit more of that cad yellow and put a few highlights there. And I'm going to use a little bit of that yellow mix, and in the center there's these little bits of highlight of these little yellow dabs here around the edge, so I'll put some of those in. And gotta get a little stem in there. Okay, so far it's it's not too bad. I'm gonna just mix up a little blue here and you know, mix up the same background color, the burnt sienna and blue, and make sort of that same color I used in the background. So I gotta get more white out there. When I buy white, I try to buy a large tube because you use way more white than you do any other color, because you're always using it to mix. So I'm just going to use a little white and some of that burnt sienna. I want it to be a little on the warmer side, so I'll add maybe some raw sienna to it. Kind of a warm gray color. And I'll just put some of that down to start. And you can kind of cut into where you want to see it in this main flower here. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend, and leave me a comment below if you like my lessons. It really encourages me. I also have a Patreon channel where you can be a member and support my channel just by, you know, as little as a couple bucks a month, or you can get into it and really get into all my full-length videos where I walk you step by step through how to paint different subjects like birds, flowers, landscapes, kind of Christmas themed ones. You know, all kinds of fun videos there. And just add a little more white to it, and maybe some more of that raw sienna just to get some more warm grays in there. I really get that thick paint in there. And, you know, if you want to use, you know, like a brush or something just to get, you know, some of that paint between the petals, you can. There's no real rules to this, you know. You can use your palette knife as long as it's helping you, and then you can switch back to your brush if you want. So I would say if you want to get in there and just sort of work some of those details, you can, you know. But I like all the palette knife marks, so I don't want to do too much brush because I really like these sort of marks here. It's gonna fix the edge of my vase where I got a little carried away there with the palette knife. It's very three-dimensional, you know. It's like you're really putting kind of like an icing on the cake. I like to play around with different tones in my background, so it's not just, you know, all one And then you can, you know, make some different marks with all that paint you got. You could put in some scratches here and there. Add a little mystery to the mix. And you can put a little bit of that color in the vase. And even a few in the background. I like to kind of get it around there. Well, that'll take at least a month to dry. Just kidding. I got so much paint on there, but I think I'll just leave it because I think I really like these colors, and I hope that you enjoy this lesson and just have fun. You know, just paint, and the more you paint, the more you'll like the whole process. You don't need to always, you know, you don't need to always get a good painting. It's also just what you do to kind of find your own space, you know. It's your own time, and you got to do it. You know, you just got to see it as your own time away from your own life. It's like therapy with paint. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to showing you my tips and tricks in the next lessons to come. So have a good day and happy painting.